What's up guys, real quickly before I jump into today's video, there was a lot said at Take-Two's Q1 2020 earnings call, and there was a lot of good news both Strauss Zelnick and others had to share for Red Dead Online, GTA Online, as well as other 2K titles like Borderlands 3 and some other titles. And some of the news that was shared was really interesting, and I would like to discuss it in a future video, but for now we are here to discuss the changes and the substantial changes, as Rockstar puts it, coming to Red Dead Online with their next major update, which we of course know is the summer update. It seems like our next best guess for a release date for the summer update is August 20th, as a current Red Dead Online story mode bonuses added this week will last for 2 weeks and expire August 19th, and the same day as big announcements are made by Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick at Gamescom. But this video isn't necessarily about the release of the summer update, but the massive changes we can expect to come into the game, and not just the changes themselves, but how that will affect you as a player of Red Dead Online. I'm expecting we are about to undergo a huge meta change within Red Dead Online, which will probably affect both the PvE side of things just as much as the PvP side, and we will be talking about it all in this video. So sit back and drop a like if you guys do go on to enjoy today's video, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, and make sure to follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram at HazardousHDTV to stay up to date with all the latest and greatest Red Dead Redemption 2 news and information. So, bypassing everything Rockstar had to say about the 3 new player roles coming in the summer update, let's talk about the additional game enhancements we can expect. If you did miss the videos I've done on the 3 new player roles coming to Red Dead and want to catch up on those, you can find links to those down in the description box below. But to set us up here, we can see Rockstar has a decent amount to share at the current moment about what exactly will be changing in Red Dead Online, and they go on to say as follows. In addition to these roles, the next update will also deliver a variety of new content and improvements aimed at enhancing all experiences inside the world of Red Dead Online, whether within roles, competitive modes, or simply exploring free roam. So we can observe 3 major challenges here that Rockstar has tasked itself with tackling. One, of course, being the player roles, and we will see a slew of new content added to the game with the addition of those, but also new competitive mode changes and changes to the simple aspects of the game like exploring free roam. Rockstar is not just going to be modifying an ability card like they did with the Never Without One card in the spring update and calling it a day. For those of you who do not know what happened with that ability card, was that when you were wearing a hat, you used to be able to absorb a full headshot and not die or take damage and lose health. Whether someone shot you square in the face or in the hat, you survived. But now, after the spring update and the Never Without One ability card change, when a player uses Never Without One, if you get shot in the face, you're dead. You have to actually get shot in the hat itself according to their patch notes for you as a player to survive. Now, what's funny is in practice, it's not actually the hat itself, and I've tested this with multiple different hats, like ones that hang down really far in front of your face and far down on your head, or even a big hat like the sombrero, and there really is no difference. How Rockstar worked it out in-game was that maybe the top 30 to 40% of your head would block that fatal bullet, but not specifically the hat itself. But either way, that was one tweak Rockstar made, and although we can see changes to ability cards come this update, obviously maybe even modifications to Slippery, Paint It Black, Slow and Steady, Focus Fire, or any of the passive cards, whatever it may be, Rockstar will be doing a lot more to changing up the PvP and PvE side, and I want to offer my own thoughts on the manner too, which I will be going over soon. But before we do that, Rockstar also had to share some other intel on what was changing, and they were a little bit more specific on what exactly we can expect to change come the summer update. And they said that substantial across-the-board changes are being made to combat and movement to allow for a more responsive control system that still feels natural, and additional damage reduction to defensive players is also on the horizon, and the game will now remember your preferred playing style, whether offensive or defensive, when you exit and relaunch the game. And there will also be many more lootable items to be found throughout the world, like containers on wagons or the occasional gold tooth found on an unfortunate soul. There is definitely a lot to dive into here, so let's break this down section by section. First, we have substantial across-the-board changes to combat and movement to make players feel as though they're playing a game that is more natural with an optimized control system. This is really good news, as although there were some changes with the spring update that gave us a little bit more flexibility with our movement in-game, overall, I would still argue Red Dead Redemption 2 as a whole leans more toward the clunky side than the fluid, quick, and easier to maneuver control schemes you see in games that feature guns and running in 2019. Any games that feature guns and running, you'll see a very fluid control system, but this game just feels a little bit clunky. So just talking strictly about the combat right now, before we discuss the movement itself, there are some changes I really want to see added into the game because both PvE and PvP will be a lot more responsive and satisfying. And there are more or less small things which will have a big impact as well. First, when you equip a weapon and aim down your sights in this game, depending on the weapon you are using, you always load a bullet into the chamber. For example, if you're using a repeater, you are priming the lever to load a bullet into that gun so you could shoot it. If you're using a revolver, you're pulling the hammer back, which spins the cylinder around and allows you to fire another shot. If you're using a shotgun like the double barrel shotgun, you're also pulling the hammer back. Or if you're using the pump action, you are cocking the gun so that you can blow your target to pieces. But then what happens if you don't fire a shot and you switch weapons and decide to switch right back? So say for example you have your pump action shotgun ready to fire, it's cocked and ready to go, but of course you don't shoot it. You just swap to your sidearm and then swap right back to your pump action shotgun. Why do you need to cock it again? You didn't fire, there's no need. This is a simple in-game issue that Rockstar has overlooked to this point, and I was hoping they would address it in the spring update. And they got close and actually decreased the time to transition from aiming down sights to sprinting to try and get away from incoming fire. But I did think that design mechanic would be bundled with that, but unfortunately it wasn't. And now is the time for change. At face value, this sounds like I'm being super nitpicky, but this is the difference of life or death in both player versus player and player versus environment situations. If you're turning the corner and discover an enemy waiting for you there, and you swap your weapon to pull out a shotgun to kill him at close range, you may very well end up dying anyway, cause oh wait, you need to wait to cock the hammer back on your gun again, giving the prepared player for the gunfight an extra half second to kill you, and that's a huge advantage, especially when the time to kill in this game is so fast because it's just an auto-aim headshot fest. And speaking of headshots, I'm really hoping Rockstar has further plans to rework the headshot mechanics in this game, making them harder to get for players. For every 250 headshots I get, I maybe get one body shot kill. And I'm not talking about an enemy being low on health, so you just bop them real fast in the chest for that kill. I mean truly going for body shot after body shot after body shot to kill that player. Players just don't do that in this game. In Red Dead Online, it's almost expected. It's typical, if not customary, for you as a player to either laser NPCs in the head in free roam or try to get headshots on players in the head in PvP. Body shots are more or less worthless in this game because they don't do enough damage, and headshots are way too easy to get. So why would anyone ever go for a body shot? If you go head to head with someone and you specifically try to shoot them in the body to go for the kill, you should expect to lose that gunfight because they will swiftly dome you and move on with their life. So we need to see a headshot change in this game, more so than we saw with the spring update, and maybe not necessarily when shooting at NPCs during missions, but with players in both the showdown and free roam. Body shots need to be buffed so that they actually do damage, and headshots need to become harder to hit. The auto aim and auto lock on and aim assist in this game is just as strong as it was in Red Dead Redemption 1, and that's just how Red Dead is as a franchise, as well as Rockstar with their third-person games. They have really strong auto aim mechanics, but this issue is the fact that in Red Dead Online, you just have to barely flick up with the right stick and you can laser the player right in the face. Whereas if you tried to do that little flick trick in Red Dead Redemption 1 multiplayer, you'd actually miss most of the time. You would miss and the bullet would pass right over either shoulder of the player. So center mass targeting needs to be reworked, and when going for the headshot, the auto aim sensitivity shouldn't be stuck directly over the player's face. There needs to be a little wiggle room over the head area of the player. Now, those are just my opinions, but I think those are necessary changes right now because people are so miserable when they play PvP in this game currently. There are also some other issues with player movement, like the time it takes to stop aiming down sights and transition into sprinting or running, and it feels clunky because Rockstar added an actually a pretty noticeable delay to that transition. So think about this. When you ADS or aim down sights in Red Dead Online, you just aim down your sight for the first time and you're holding the trigger on your controller. If you tap the left trigger to aim, you'll notice you aim down the sight for the moment and you just kind of linger there in that animation for another second or two. And during that time, you can't really do much. No matter how much you mash your button to try and sprint or swap weapons or really anything other than look around while aiming down your sights, you're stuck in that animation and it really gets you killed more often than it actually helps you. And it's really awful when you're taking cover in this game and you're hiding behind a crate, for example. You pop out and rather than being out of cover for a half second to get a quick shot off on an enemy who has you locked down, you're standing out in the open for another good 1 or 2 seconds while you fire and also load another round into the chamber, all while standing out of cover, leaving yourself completely exposed to get shot. Not to mention the cover system in this game in general is trash, and hopefully that will be changed in the update as well. So we know that big changes to combat and movement will hopefully make the game feel less clunky, more responsive and fluid, and more enjoyable. No matter what the actual in-game changes are that take place, these things sound like really good news for us as players. And we also have some other changes, like the additional damage reduction to those in defensive mode. We just don't know how big of a damage reduction this will be. I hear the players cry for a true passive mode or even invite-only lobbies. And good news, Rob Nelson, the art director and producer at Rockstar Games, has said in an interview from the spring update with IGN that a true passive mode or even invite-only private sessions and lobbies were not completely off the table, but Rockstar as a company really wants players to be immersed in the world together, and that they said they're still open to making changes if it truly does not work out in the end. But that's a little vague because I've never seen more people cry out for passive and invite-only lobbies, and Rockstar still hasn't done a thing about it. But I think there's a lesson here, and that is to keep sending feedback. Rockstar is listening. They're just working so far ahead because the biggest things we've asked for before have been added months and months down the line. So please, if you have not submitted feedback already or just have stopped submitting feedback, please submit more feedback, and you can find that link to submit feedback down in the description below. But with all that said and out of the way, that is everything here up on deck to change for us players when the Red Dead Online summer update releases. I think all of us are looking forward to more and huge in-game changes that can hopefully not only improve the already clunky mechanics, but perhaps rework the core elements of the online that players take issues with, like aiming, ability cards, gold reinforced cores, tonics, etc. Whatever new huge changes come to the game, I will keep you all up to date, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What changes are you looking forward to seeing in the next major Red Dead Online update? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And with that said, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Make sure to drop a like, as it does help me out a lot and lets me know you are enjoying my content I make for you guys. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Red Dead Online and Red Dead Redemption 2. I got you covered with the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, leaks, and all that good stuff, and also Grand Theft Auto Online and The Last of Us Part 2 content. Can't forget about those, of course. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram to also get connected with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me at HazardousHDTV on all three, and all those links can be found in the description below. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next Red Dead Online video. Adios, amigos.